So today's subject is we'll be exploring power and control in religion, mysticism, and shamanism, or how concepts of power and control have been applied to an understanding of mysticism and shamanism, and we'll show how, let's say, naive religion and naive mysticism and naive shamanism looks at power and control differently than how the depth of mysticism and shamanism looks at power and control. And this is actually a big subject. In fact, every subject that we've explored in this video series could not be covered in a 5 or 10 minute video. These subjects are very large subjects. For those who want to explore, these subjects at greater depth, are welcome to go to the Great Western Vehicle website, where I have written a major essay on each one of these subjects. So you'll be able to find canonical support, references, extensive references, and case histories as well. Okay. So the concept of power and control we can see in, let's say, the power of prayer, and we can also see it in the concepts of think and grow rich, or those ideas of positive thinking, the power of positive thinking. And we can also see it, the same kinds of concepts evident in witchcraft and sorcery, in which talismans are made for health and wealth and beauty and love and bringing the rain and all these ideas. In fact, if we as anthropologists look at every culture has ideas of praying to a spiritual, or appealing, let's say, to a spiritual dimension for intercession. And in agricultural communities, it usually has to do with either bringing the rain or sending the rain away if there's too much, bringing the sun out, because plants need some rain, but they also need some sunlight. And the naive peoples of the world are going to be, looking for spiritual intercession, and they're going to, of course, point to the fact that the rain came after they prayed and say, see, God answered, or Brahma or Yahweh or whatever answered my plea. But what we don't see is, a critical review of that. Just because rain came doesn't necessarily mean that Joe Schmo's prayer worked. Maybe it was somebody else's prayer that worked, or maybe it just rained. And that's my premise, is that eventually the rain comes, and the rain falls equally on the good and the evil. And it really has nothing to do with prayer. But we're going to explore that a little further, and I'm going to provide you with some evidence. And that evidence is remember, we're using analogs to understand our subjects. And when we look at the writing of the mystics, yes, they engage in prayer. For instance, St. Francis's prayer of peace, O Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That was the kind of prayer that he engaged in. But what he didn't engage in is, O Lord, let it rain. O Lord, make me wealthy and powerful, famous, whatever. Lord, give me the love that I want, right? And in fact, when we examine the lives of the mystics, they might engage in prayer, but it's almost always to cultivate subjective qualities that made them a mystic. Not that they're necessarily looking to become a mystic, but those subjective qualities that are a requirement of being a mystic, such as being peaceful, praying for a still mind. These are the qualities the mystic must develop, and why not pray for them by let's see, St. Francis' prayer, let me be an instrument for thy peace, could also imply, by me becoming a mystic, I become an instrument of thy peace, which would include stilling my mind. So if we look at the literature of the mystics, which I've mentioned their names before, such as Rumi and Kabir and Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, these kinds of people, they're not praying for it to rain. They're not praying for a good harvest. They're not praying, for things. They're praying to cultivate those qualities that are necessary to be a mystic. And another angle of looking at this is, let's say we examine what mental qualities are needed to cultivate, to develop the 8 stages of contemplation, or what in India they call samadhi, 8 stages of samadhi. So what we find is the mind has to become still. And all the cognitive processes actually begin to fall away as one negotiates the 8 stages of samadhi. So whereas, let's say, the power of prayer or the power of positive thinking, what is that about? Well, that is about forcing one's will upon reality. That, let me make reality in my own image. Let me not accept reality as it is. So I propose that we have another hypothesis here to drive our thesis in search of the genuine mystics versus the fakes, the people who are pretending to be shaman or mystics and are really not the real deal. And I would say the real deal is not looking to, is not praying, is not using their mental makeup, their mental structure, their cognitive structures to modify the physical universe. So they're not at all about the power of positive thinking, nor are they all about the power of think and grow rich, nor are they about the power of prayer. That's not at all what mystics are about. Therefore, the people who claim that they might be experiencing those 8 stages of samadhi, well, if they're using their mind to impose what they think are the 8 stages of contemplation or samadhi, then they are not experiencing those stages of contemplation. They're just engaged in mental gymnastics, creative visualization. In fact, creative visualization is all part of this thing. Do I just need to develop creative visualization to become a mystic? No, sorry folks, that's not the depth of becoming a mystic. That is superficial mysticism. Okay, thank you, friends. So it's really about relinquishing the cognitive components of our psyche, which includes identity, which includes volition, which includes making things or imposing our sense of reality onto reality instead of accepting reality as it is. Isn't that typical of a mystic? A sense of acceptance, a sense of letting go, a sense of surrender and letting reality and nature and existence be whatever it's going to be. That's what it is to be a mystic. It's not about controlling reality, making it what we want it to be. Okay, friends, so thank you. Have a great week, and keep letting go, keep meditating. You'll have those great mystical experiences. Thank you.